You've got to love the energy, the passion, and the enthusiasm of people who genuinely believe that diversity, inclusion, and mental health are super important in our today's world. And now, perspective of a municipality, in this case, the Municipality of Krakow, our host town, so to say, and the partner of this conference for the past 5 years. Nina, good afternoon. We are already in the
Hi,
noon
hello.
section of the day. Hello, how are you?
Hi. It's
Your
lovely to be
company.
here. Thank you for the invitation.
And it's fantastic to have you with us, finally talking about a non-corporate, non-company, non-institution per se perspective, but instead more holistic from the city level. Your company is not an island. How municipalities can support the process of building a healthy D&I ecosystem. Nina, let me ask with a light-hearted question. We talk about working hours also at this conference, that some people put in like 16 hours a day. So tell me, is looking after the city's equality policy a typical 8-hour job, or does it sometimes get longer than that?
Rarely, it's an 8 hour day. Very often, it's much more than that. It often is said that I work in the evening and during the weekend, but it also depends on the how the equality events are happening, when they're happening, and I'm trying to be in most places to be present and to represent Krakow all the way when we talk about equality.
Krakow is a hugely international destination, so I'm sure you sometimes need to participate in conversations across time zones, possibly also in the evening. Tell
Well,
me,
that
the
happens. Yeah.
initiatives in this area. Yeah.
Sorry,
The
I think
municipality
I
of
have trouble
Krakow.
connection.
Well, it can be a little unstable, but let's see if we can slow down a little, perhaps. Tell me the initiatives of the municipality of Krakow around your area of responsibility, which is equality policy. You're Krakow City Mayor's official plenipotentiary for equality policy. Tell us, what are your priorities?
Well, our main goal is to build long-term equality policy for Krakow. We are in the beginning. We are trying to do a diagnosis, so we could really respond properly and build policy that would really resonate with people from Krakow. But during that time, we're building that policy. We are introducing many initiatives that are connected to that topic, to those topics. We are very focused on our projects concerning women. Our new projects that it's called Krakowianki, it's like Krakowian women. We would translate that. It's an idea that we would that every initiative of the city, but also city institutions, cultural ones or educational ones, would be placed under one umbrella, and so we could build a very universal narrative about the role of women in Krakow today, but also historically. It's really important for us to underline that our city was built and co-created by women, many amazing local heroes who can be an inspiration today. And we've established a campaign that it's called The Power of Krakowian Women. We've presented many local heroes, suffragettes, or not very well known but very important people, women of science or women of sport, so they could provide also a context how the city was created, and also we want to present how women of Krakow are creating the city today, and actually this week we've have the decision of the city council, and we've established an award for an amazing woman of Krakow. It's dedicated to one amazing historical figure, which is called Kazimiera Bujwidowa. She was responsible for getting women to get educated and to get to universities in the beginning of the century. So that's why we've decided so that award would be dedicated to her. She is the mother of women's rights in Krakow and in Poland, really. So that's one of the initiatives. We've also started recently a very large campaign on domestic violence. We are now in this period. We talk for 16 days all around the world about the problem of domestic violence and the violence against women, and we've also are taking part in that, and we've started a new website with all the information. So a lot of is happening, and especially in the end of the year is very hot with events.
Funny you should say, talking for 16 days, that our D&I Changemakers Conference is super intensive to talk through. Now that you've said you can talk for 16 days, it's a new bar for me. Tell me, Nina, I think what you started with, you said you're at the process of creating a sound, workable, actionable policy around the city's equality policy. But we would certainly like our audience not to misunderstand that, in the sense that historically, after even architecture, a lot of ethnic cultural influences from the past. Krakow, the very first city to be inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1978, one of the two. Tell me, describe your key challenges for the equality policy now, because I believe internationally Poland has gained a reputation because of the media broadcasts largely and because of municipal behavior outside regarding LGBTQ community. Not a thing to be proud of, definitely. But tell us about how Krakow stands on these things and what happens as a consequence, which doesn't, but other town and townships. What happens when the public sector does not support D&I or goes a step further even?
Well, Krakow is really invested in the human rights issues, and also LGBT community safety and well-being is very important for us. We consider everyone a part of our city and a huge influence and an amazing one at that. And we were trying to counter the homophobic and transphobic narrative that was presented and is still in the public sphere and in the public debate. We've made a couple of important events and campaigns addressing the issue and underlying really intensively that no one can, no one, everyone is safe in Krakow, and everyone has equal rights, and we are a city of open gates. We are actually trying to we are in the beginning of joining the Rainbow City network. Because of our engagement, we were invited in Rainbow City event annual meeting this year as the first Polish city. It was very important for us because it's amazing to learn from others and to exchange good practices. I am in contact with many municipalities abroad to learn how we can actually implement working policies and initiatives that would help provide support for LGBT community. We are supporting our NGOs that work in Krakow closely with LGBT community, because they know best what's necessary, what's important, what's needed, and that exchange and that experience is a priority, I would say. I think that city is at first a community, and if you exclude anyone from that community, you have to get consequences. And I am happy that the response from the European side was so intense that actually made it possible, and well, the pressure was accurate, and the regional council resigned from the homophobic declarations, and now other cities are also resigning from those hateful documents, and it's a move in a good direction, because the consequences have to be tough when you don't follow human rights, and when you cannot really provide equal rights for all in your local community. So I think it's an important that those outside European or any other pressure from abroad would made it sorry, I lost myself. It's really
It's okay.
important to get involved, and to that for us it was a really strong support that we felt when everybody joined into the conversation. And I think it's really important for the LGBT community in Poland also to feel that they have support outside of their local communities. But we want to provide good practices for our other locals neighbors, and I hope that will work. We have other documents, European. Sorry, I have.
Yeah,
I think we have
hopefully.
some delay. Yeah, hopefully.
Nina, tell me, because I already have like 2 questions coming for you from our audience, but you said it yourself that, people who work in companies in a corporate setting, and there are over 100,000 people working in that sector in Krakow alone, they are also residents of sin and working, of course. So you've already partly answered this question, but can you expand on that? Do local communities benefit from supporting the D&I ecosystem? If yes, how? If not, why?
Anyone who works in Krakow also lives in Krakow. So the experience of being safe and having your rights respected, it's an experience that should not only happen in a workplace, because you leave the workplace and you expect your city to be as supportive as they can, as we can, to those kind of issues, because we have to provide support and safetiness in transport, in public space. We need to build awareness, so the city experience would be whole. You cannot only I would not like to anyone who works in Krakow feeling safe only in a workplace. It's really important to have that experience long term.
This would be It's not only important, Nina. I think it would be absolutely
it's
terrible
crucial, really.
It would be absolutely terrible if we left our workplace to feel insecure at once at the gates, so to say.
Yeah.
First from Dorota, could you maybe give some examples of initiatives where municipality, business, and NGOs work together?
Well, on the issues of human rights, we don't have much experience in that area. We have experience with working with NGOs, and especially they are represented in Equality Council that we've established in 2019 in Krakow, and they are represented in that area as a voice of support, but also representatives of those organizations are in present to give a voice and recommendations to the president, to the city on certain issues. We've only started equality policy building this year. So I think there are many initiatives are before us, and I think one very important one that I'm planning next year concerning women in the workplace would be a platform to make that connection and to make that important collaborations between private and public sector.
Nina, two more questions from our audience. Andre and Dominika. Andre is asking, was any of those implemented policies replicated in any other districts? How is the relationship between this department and the ones from other municipalities? So that's question one. And Dominika, does the city cooperate with companies employing foreigners placed in Krakow? If not yet, are there any plans to make the city more accessible, for example, offering support in administrative matters?
Since 2016, in Krakow, we have an Open Krakow program, and we have a multicultural center, an info point for foreign citizens coming to Krakow. You can get support for legal matters, administrative matters, but also psychological support in 4 or 5 languages. There are many events being organized by the Multicultural Center, but there are also many initiatives being present, as we've prepared also the welcome package for anyone who comes to Krakow with every information in different languages also. We have special grants for NGOs that support that area. So also we are working on a program for people coming to Krakow to support them while they are establishing their business, or they are trying or they're starting to work in Krakow, and it's connected to our division for its business Krakow, it's called. So we have many initiatives in the multicultural area, and we are a part of Multicultural Cities Network also. We have an interdisciplinary group that was established to make specific recommendation in that perspective. So it's a very present policy, and it's being evaluated and non-stop, and we are trying to address anything that is presented by the moment. For example, the community from Belarus, when the migration happened and the conversation started, we've also made some important symbolic gestures, but also the more pragmatic and organizational one to provide them support when they come to Krakow. That's for the second question. And the first question, I'm a representative of the president and the part of the municipality. And equality policy is a horizontal policy, so my competences are sort of divided in between every department. I have work to be done in sports, education, business, planning, everything really. So it's really connected, and I'm trying to be present in as many as I can platforms. It's hard, but it's a process.
It's hard, but it's a process. It sounds like your job is really marketing and multidisciplinary efforts. Reminds me of our discussion about chief inclusion officers in companies, as we try and define their competences and skills they should be having. We all be great at strategy, really, also communication strategy. They should be great at integrating different stakeholders, bringing them together. So in that regard, I suppose your job is very similar. You need to engage a lot is an easy job, especially when you come across rigid viewpoints, not necessarily conservative in a healthy sense of the word, but that's the job, isn't it?
Yes, yes. A part of it is to explain why that change has to happen and why is it important to really build a diversity and inclusion policy inside of the city. We have to also see a city as an employer, and it's crucial to provide also our employees with support system and knowledge how to work with those issues, but also be safe at work. We've been all very engaged in building a new anti-discriminatory model for the city. We are in we have now a very large diagnosis being made. We've interviewed employees, how they feel about certain issues and how they see the anti-discriminatory policy being used or how they can be better. So we have the knowledge now
Nina,
to be even more engaged.
Nina, not an easy job. This is not a conference for people who do easy jobs and who loves easy jobs anyway. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and do continue on your way to be the change maker, and do this across your sometimes a little bit rigid ecosystem. Good luck. Again, stay healthy, stay safe.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It's been also an amazing to learn from others and from the business sector, which is very inspiring in many ways.
Thank you, Nina. All the best. Nina Gabryś, Krakow City Hall Mayor's Plenipotentiary for Equality Policy. And now we are a sense of belonging in virtual organizations. A very interesting talk by PepsiCo. Enjoy.